today's presentation. I hope your day is going well. But let me start by asking just a question. No need to answer, but you can always just chat if you have any questions, right? But if you are here, you probably had the opportunity to perhaps have an idea, or probably you have seen a problem where you thought maybe, that it would be great if I could build something to solve that problem, right? In our day-to-day we see that we encounter something and we think, hey, that could be a great idea. Why not build something to solve that problem, right? Why not create a software that can do that, that can handle that for us? And you probably think, but it's too much work. I don't have a team. How do I go about to do this and build this, right? If you've been into that situation, or you ever wonder what is the process to do that, how expensive that's going to be, what is the effort to accomplish all of this, well, I think today you are in the right place, and I'll talk to all of us about how to go about this, right? How to actually have an idea, incubate that idea, and make it a reality without having to spend or have a huge budget, but actually leveraging a lot of the cloud technologies that exist today. So welcome to SaaS Fundamentals. And I hope that after this presentation, you have a better idea of how to go about and build a solution to, right? So you don't have to work for someone or for some company. So welcome. My name is Oscar Garcia. I, I work on cloud technologies, building web solutions and AI technologies as well. I love to talk to you, to the tech community, about the things I see, the experiences that I go through, and how I basically think, right? Just to share my experience with you. So I'm also an author. I published a book called Data Engineering Process Fundamentals that take a process-oriented approach about solving data engineering challenges. So if you're interested, or you want to follow me or learn more about some of the stuff that I do, including several GitHub repos where you can actually look at the code, you can just scan that code right there on the screen, and that will take you to a page where you can actually see my links. But thank you for being here with me today. But let's get going. So um, let's start with what is SaaS really, right? What you probably hear all these terms, and you wonder, what are we talking about, right? So SaaS stands for software as a service. And what it is simply a software solution that you're going to actually deploy and host on the cloud. But the business model is different than your usual software development approach, right? With the SaaS technology approach, you can actually build something that can be basically used by users in a monthly or perhaps yearly subscription uh, form. So this makes it very appealing to users, because they don't have to buy this big package or this license to be able to use your technology, right? They don't need to install anything. And what is it that you can build? Well, you can build a lot of things, right? You can build games, you can build uh, shopping software, and some of the examples will be like calendar, like emails, some of these mobile apps that you actually play with. Some of those are SaaS solution, and some of them will give it to you for free. And if you want the plus features, additions, then you basically pay for some kind of monthly subscription to get some of the additional features that for that application. But usually these applications are cloud hosted. That way you don't have to be managing any kind of data centers. Their monthly, yearly commitment, as I talked about before, they're really reducing costs. So you don't have to spend a lot of money in buying this software, right? And that's the key here, because users don't want to don't want to take a high risk on this. They want to take a low risk and be able just to kind of get an idea and experience the app and be able to commit to it later or for a longer time if they really enjoy what they see. Um, and basically, because it's cloud hosted and you manage it, you have to kind of keep updating it, keep adding feedback from users to it so you can keep growing the application. The key here is that you have to shift our thinking into building this software technology and licensing it at a high cost into something more lightweight, fast to develop, and cost effective for consumers. Okay. So how do we plan? How do we build this out though, right? What is the trick here, right? So the goal here, first, you start with an idea. You have to figure out an idea of something that you see in the world, right? Some problem or some maybe entertainment or something that you figure, hey, it will be very good to be able to create this. Maybe you have been working for a company and you see some kind of operations challenge that company or other companies may have, and you think about that idea, and then you're thinking, how do I build this, right? How can I go about this? So you first identify that problem, that idea, right? And then you have to do a little bit of market research. And basically what you're trying to do here is saying, okay, what is the landscape for this idea? Is it done? Has it been done before? And it doesn't matter if it has been done before, because there's the concept of market share, which means is you have a lot of CRM applications, you have a lot of games out there, there's a lot of applications. There's just not one, right? There's many of them. And the thing is, what is going to make your idea special, or what is the difference within your idea, right? So that's what you have to find out and identify and think about. Okay, so I see that there is an opportunity to do this, so let me go ahead and work on it. So once you understand that idea has an opportunity in the market, you need to start thinking about what is my business model here? How do I sell this, right? And that's where you have to be very flexible within your SaaS success, right? So you have to be able to understand that, hey, it's not going to be $1,000 worth of a license, right, a month. You have to think about the financials of it. So how are you going to allow your users to get familiar with the application? Are you going to provide some kind of free tier to them, a trial, so they can use it, they can play with it and get familiar with the application? I mean, those are the kind of business models and strategies that you need to figure out. And then provide them with a subscription tier, right? So you may have the basic plan, the pro plan, right? The premium plan, and so on. So you have to kind of figure out those ideas and be able to understand what is the feature set that you're going to be selling with those different tiers, right? Because this is important. Not everybody's going to just buy the top tier. You probably want to sell a baseline or basic tier that's going to give you core features that people are going to like. And then as they get used to the application, they probably would like to upgrade that idea or upgrade the software, and they will pay for a higher subscription for a higher tier. So that's important to sort of have that game plan and understanding. And if you don't sort of get that idea, just go and look. There's so many online products out there that you can see that they give you a free subscription, and they have all this model different tier subscription levels. And you can kind of get an idea and play with that and see how they do it. So just try to learn from that and define your own business model. And then you become a business manager, and you need to start thinking financial planning. How do I do this? What is my budget to develop this? What are my possible costs? Am I doing the development? Am I hiring a developer? Am I doing the marketing? What about my support costs? What are all these things associated to a SaaS solution that are also needed and important? They are important for your solution to exist and to actually have very good feedback customers. So you need to understand them, figure out what the budget is. And the budget is thousands and thousands of dollars. Maybe not, right? Maybe your idea is simple. There's so many online services now that can get you going with that simple idea, and you get an idea of the process. Or if you're more into the development, you can start doing your own development and just build something, um, and try to not spend a lot of effort on it in the sense of money, but actually develop an idea, get it out there, get feedback from users, from friends, from family, and try to see if this is making sense. So be very aware of your financial planning. So you start very low with not a lot of money, unless you make it through, right? Unless you actually, your idea it becomes a hit, and then you spend more money to try to grow it and expand your user base. Definitely technology budget. This is a SaaS approach solution. Then you're going to have to budget for technology. So you're going to find an online service that's going to give you a lot of the stuff you need, or you're going to be, if you're more into the development, you build a technology and you're able to manage and deploy it maybe on some cloud hosting solution like Azure, like AWS and Google, and be able to manage that. So you have to kind of understand what are you going to be able to do. A lot of these online cloud services that enable you to build SaaS software, they are very limited on what they can do, right? So if your idea is very simple and you want to rely on their technology stack to do this, that's something you need to kind of understand and analyze. But also, if you want to manage your own technology and do the actual software using, React, .NET, what have you, then you can go that route as well. And then you manage the deployments to your Google cloud or your AWS cloud and so on, right? And then marketing and support costs. These are key also, right? These are very important because we're now becoming a business oriented team. And now we need to understand that you can have the greatest technology, the greatest idea, the greatest delivery and CI/CD deployment pipelines, but if you don't have any marketing behind it, no one's going to know about it, right? You need to be able to send this out there to the public so they see what this idea is. So you need to be able to invest. Marketing is something that we often overlooked. We overlook this, but it's essential because you're not going to go anywhere if you don't spend money on marketing. Marketing is what's going to get the word out that you have something out there that people can subscribe to, and you can market this. So don't ignore that. That's a key component. And of course, once you have users using your application, you need to support them. You need to be able to get feedback from them. Otherwise, your product is going to die, right? If you only hear the complaints from users that this is not working, why is this not doing this? Just get that feedback from them and work with them and communicate with them and spend some effort and money on support costs. And that could be a simple social media channel, Twitter, a desk, online desk system where you can actually track your issues. You need to be able to kind of manage that and be able to support that for your users, right? Okay, so now you have a plan. You created a sort of a business plan. You have an approach. Now the thing is, how do you deliver this, right? What is my technical approach, right? Am I going to code it? I mean, am I going to just use React or .NET, or what am I using for this, right? So we have to kind of analyze that and understand what you are trying to deliver and how you're going to try to deliver. Of course, the more coding we do, the longer it's going to take, because that's just the nature of it, right? So we need to be able to identify what's called the minimum viable product. That is the MVP. So the MVP is that phase of the product where we actually are saying, okay, my software is going to solve these problems, right? It's gonna solve mainly this, but not all of this, because these are secondary or second tier priority issues. So you have to kind of understand what is key, what's the secret sauce that your product is going to deliver, but it doesn't include everything. So you have to be very strategic when it comes to this. So you have to define the core features, right? And the core features will be just what is very important for the user. So for example, if the user just needed to be able to do some kind of data entry to track something, that is the core feature. You don't need to actually set up reminders. You don't need to set up alerts. You don't need to like color code every feature. Those are design features, the bells and whistles that are great for the application, but they're not core features, and they take time. And in reality, they take you to the next level when it comes to user design and things of that nature, but it will take you longer to get to market to build those from the start. So you actually have to identify what's core and then add those as you grow. In addition, you iterate with feedback. So what you think is a core feature, right? You think this is the greatest thing and this is going to solve all these problems. Maybe it's not. As users are actually using it, encountering issues with the app, or not issues, but maybe better ideas. Maybe they're saying, hey, I tend to do this in 3 clicks, but maybe I could just do it in 1 click. And you realize, oh, okay, yeah, why not? How come I didn't think about that? We often think that we have the best idea and we try to deliver something, but it's not until we get this user feedback, user behavior telemetry data, that we actually realize how users operate and think, right? And this is important. The feedback is key. So instead of maybe investing time on these cool design features, you basically groom this customer feedback, this user feedback, and then you prioritize that feedback into enhancements for the application, or perhaps new features that are very key to growing your product. Okay. So what about the technology stack, right? What are the tools I'm going to be using for this? Well, you need to be able to understand if you are going to use for example, a no code approach. And by that, I mean are you going to get a platform that is going to build out your website, and it's going to allow you to do design, take a design approach to building that solution, right? And you can just kind of not worry about deployments, security, or anything like that, because this online service will do it for you, which is called the PaaS, which is platform as a service, right? Or are you going to do the coding? Do you have the expertise to build things like a web application, a mobile application, what have you, and you're going to manage the deploying into a cloud provider like Google or Microsoft, right? So those are the things you're going to have to evaluate and think about. If you see right now in the market, there are a lot of people out there that have zero technology background and they're building SaaS solutions. And they're using some of these services to build this applications, web applications and mobile applications. But of course, what you have to understand is that they rely on that service, and that's it. They're baked into that platform, and for them to get out of that platform, it will be a higher investment. But they get the experience, the idea in how to do this, which is great, right? If you have more expertise and you want to code the solution, design the technology, the approach, then it will take you longer because it's what it is, but you will own everything. The only thing that you will not own is the hosting provider, the cloud provider, because you're going to have to lease their resources for your applications to run. But then you can switch from provider, right? You can be in Google, or you can be in Amazon, and so on. So you have to think about this, the decisions on what the technology stack is going to be. What are you doing to solve this? So the key here is to understand that there are even people out there that have zero knowledge of technology, yet they are building SaaS solutions because they have a great idea on what to build, and they just want something to build it for them. Okay. So I like cloud providers. You identify the cloud provider that you like the most, or it could be just a service, a cloud hosted service that does everything for you. Okay. So, but the important thing is to understand what this provider is going to do for you, because as you start with an MVP, you probably only need basic services. But if your application starts to take off, you're going to need to increase it. You need to increase the resources, scale your solution, and so on. So it's just be mindful of those things when you're actually evaluating your technology approach. This building about your own business or SaaS for someone else. This is for building you. This is for building your SaaS present. It's for you to understand how to do it, right? What is the approach, right? Because you need to have a business, not just the technology aspect, but also the business sense of it and understanding the ecosystem. Because what happens is this, and I'm telling you, I'm sharing this by experience. Before I started my career, I thought if I could build this, because I know how to do software. If I could build this software, I can just build my own products, right? But that takes a long time, right? So it's also important to understand that with today's technology, there are a lot of resources you can leverage, that you don't have to code everything, right? That, for example, you don't have to build a data center anymore. So if you're good at having ideas, because we in this industry, we tend to have a lot of ideas, but we never sort of execute them because so many roadblocks, or maybe we don't have an approach. But the idea here is to sort of understand and how to build your own SaaS solution. So this is for you. And if your idea is to build SaaS for other people, well, that's an idea. The goal here is to get an idea and how are you going to provide that service to people, right? But building for someone else means you're into consulting, not really building a SaaS solution for you. So, and as we get deeper, you'll get more of an answer on this. So as you build this, understand that you're going to have to deal with operational concerns also. So what that means is who's going to be doing the automation, the security, and the data for your application. So if you hire a online system, they will do all of that. And the key takeaway here is that if you pick a third-party cloud service, make sure that they provide these features for you, right? Some of these third-party services, they do all of it. So for you just log in and do design work, and they take care of your security. They're going to do federated security with Google, with Microsoft, and so on. You don't understand. You're not going to see anything about data. They just have a big data storage behind the scenes. The deployment for them is really just you say, okay, I made my change, publish, right? So that's the deployment concept for some of these businesses, right? But what if you are more into I'm more in hands-on, and I want to have my .NET application or my React or Android mobile app, and you have source coding on GitHub and you have your repo there and you want to deploy that, then you need to worry about build automation, right? How to get your software into that cloud provider. So if you're using GitHub, for example, you will use Git actions to be able to do the build and deployment of your solution, right? And if you are, for example, building a website or a mobile app and you're going to have a subscription base, you need people to log into your application. So you're going to actually set up a provider. It could be, for example, a Google provider for federated security or Microsoft. So from the standpoint of my experience, for example, just for you to sort of understand this approach, is that I built a SaaS solution where people can actually buy their own sort of tenant, right? What that means is you have a SaaS solution where they can say, hey, I want your service. I have 10 users or 20 users, and I want to have my own application hosted somewhere, right? They don't, you dictate the details and the terms of where your technology is going to be running. But then what happens is this, then the process of all that will be that you provision all the resources as you, the SaaS owner, that the person that's building the SaaS solution. You build all the resources on, let's say, Microsoft Cloud, right? Azure. I built all of it. My Cosmos DB, my static web apps, my own Active Directory. So what happens now is when this customer tells me I have 10 users, I'm going to have to provision 10 accounts into that Active Directory so they can log in, right? So they'll log in Oscar at somebody, and so on. So all of that will have to be managed, right? And so that's the difference, right? So here I'm giving you sort of the insights of the more you do or the less you do. So it really depends on your expertise and what you want to do and how you want to accomplish it. Data management, right? So if you're spinning off your own Cosmos DB, Firebase backends, then you sort of have to manage sort of the spinning off that instance for that new customer, right? And be able to let the cloud provider manage your storage and backups and all of that, right? So just kind of understanding all those little details is sort of important. And of course, understanding how they can scale, right? If you basically go into static web apps, how to scale, right? How to increase and have redundancy across regions. So is your app going to be United States only to a specific customer, or you are more ambitious and you want global presence and you want your application to be used across the entire world? Then scalabilities will be very important. So the takeaway here is understand that third-party capabilities and how can they support you, right? So, okay, so now you sort of have an understanding in your plans. You're like, okay, I got my business plan set up. I sort of understand my technology stack, the way I'm going to approach this. How do I get the word out? How do I get this for people to understand that I have something out there, right? So this is now beyond coding, right? So this is, you already have the idea, the approach, a technology approach, your MVP definition, how you're going to deploy it and how you're going to subscribe, what your subscription methodology is. So how are you going to market this, right? So what's important here is to be able to have some kind of marketing side, right? The marketing side that's going to be able to say to people, hey, I got this product, whether it's a product for small shops to sell services, or and they can subscribe to your SaaS, right? So they can manage their customers, or some game that you want, so they can subscribe to your games and so on, right? So you need to have a website where you're actually saying, hey, look, I'm selling this, right? And have some kind of mechanism to get the to attract customers, right? To attract people and be able to take leads from this marketing side, right? So if you imagine, you've probably been to a marketing website that says, hey, we got the best SaaS solution if you are a small business owner and you want to track something, right? And you subscribe for free, and then you're like, oh yeah, I like it, let me upgrade this to another tier. So this marketing side is key for that. And you need to be able to manage your leads and track your leads and be able to understand how to manage them and how to provision them with new accounts and so on. Maybe it's a self-service, right? A lot of the SaaS solutions are self-service because they're really more of hey, I log in and I got my own account, right? But some of these SaaS solutions could be bigger, right? They could be bigger in the sense that it's not just about I sign up, I self-provision my account, I sign up for it, but also you need to have a process of provisioning your resources, right, to the Google Cloud or Azure Cloud. So you need to understand what is your approach and the technology that you're using. And when you're going into the marketing side, to be able to explain to users what you do, how you're going to do it, and how soon they can have it. Because a lot of people will say, hey, how come I cannot self-sign? You can self-sign, but maybe you have a step to provision resources and you don't have that automation yet. So it will take a little bit of contact me and I'll talk to you and do the work for you, provision the software for you. So, and you're the SaaS provider, so you need to kind of define that plan in your marketing site, because there you're going to be able to explain the terms to the users, right? The terms are basically what we expect from you, right? Customers, how you're going to pay us, what subscription you're going to have, how you're going to deal with cancellations, refunds, and so on, right? And the legal terms of this is our technology, but we take zero risk, and so on and so on. So it is important to have all those all those aspects of your SaaS solution well defined, so customers understand, right? And just for legality too, right? Because you're going to be providing a service, so you need to have that well defined. And then you also now, so the marketing side is all about the website, the product, it's all the nice features and so on. But now you need to have a product side, right? And the product side, really, what that will give is now how the application works. When you're using our application, expect to have all these features. These features have this type of, you can use it this way. And if you have issues, you can read this knowledge base to the common questions and so on. So your product side will actually give all the support to users, right? How to use your application, knowledge base, and how to reach out if you need help. So you're going to have some kind of support channel, and it'll be great here to be able to sort of provide that information in your product site, right? So that's key. So also work on your hosting provider, right? So it is important for a hosting provider to give you all the scalability and reliability issues or concerns solved for you, so your application is not struggling and you have a lot of complaints that, hey, this is always too slow, this is not working, and so on. So it is important to choose the right partner for hosting your solution, whether it's a cloud provider or just the entire platform as a service that they build out the UI and everything for you. So it's just key. And one of the aspects here to also deal with is your marketplace. So the marketplace is key here. And basically, just like we do on the phones, right? So on the phones, we go and we pick a new game or a new application and we install it in our phones. Well, your SaaS solutions have marketplaces also, right? And these marketplaces could be, for example, let's say your SaaS solution is something that has to do with solving some kind of technology issues for a cloud provider. So let's say, for example, you have a good dashboard that shows metrics for, let's say, a SQL Server backend, right? Let's say that is your SaaS idea, right? I want to have a dashboard that shows all my SQL Server deadlocks and all that in this cool format with a little bit of AI integrated to give users this solution. You could sell this on cloud providers as an app. They can sign up for it and they'll configure, for example, their SQL Server connection string into that, and then boom, your dashboard is connected and it's displaying all of this. Just that little bit of an idea is a SaaS solution, right? So don't think it's something huge that it requires to be an entire full-blown out app. It could be just a dashboard. So these cloud providers like Azure and AWS, for example, they have marketplaces, and I'm sure you have seen them, right? When you go into these platforms, you probably will see a spin-off a SQL Server or what do you call it, MongoDB backend, right? And it's actually that's kind of a PaaS, right? Solution, a platform as a service for MongoDB, for example. So there you could sell your application to do something specific that they can just basically sign up for it, provision it, and then what you leverage is that the marketplace has the distribution, the lead management, the payment system. So what that means really is if you don't want to deal with taking credit card payments and all of that, the marketplace will basically do all of that for you. So just like you do if you go to any Google cloud provider, when you sign up for a service, you get billed, right, for usage. So once they buy something from the marketplace, it will be part of that bill. And what the provider, whether it's Google or whatever, is going to send you the payment for your SaaS solution that they are actually buying. So you don't deal with any payment solutions, right? You benefit from the marketplace to be able to take care of all of that for you, and it gets you there faster. So just think about those little details and leverage that. If you have an idea about any kind of cloud solution or SaaS idea, just leverage some of the marketplaces there and use them, and you don't have to deal with the accounting stuff and all that deal to be able to take credit card payments. Okay. So how do we keep this success? How do we keep this going? Right? What is the process to do this? So like anything, right? If you don't support it, people are not going to stick. They're not going to stick around. They're going to just basically move on. So it is important for people to understand that if they are using your SaaS solution, that they can reach out to someone, right? That they can reach out to someone, that they can understand how to use it, that they can understand that if something happens, how they can cancel, how they can just get a refund, or how they can just open a case, right? Like a support case. So you need to sort of implement a feedback mechanism to gather this type of insights. So how do we do that? So for example, let's say your solution now is kind of let's stick to the dashboard idea, which is simple. Is the dashboard idea, and the user comes in and connects to that dashboard. It sets up the dashboard database connection string, and it for some reason doesn't work. For whatever the reason, they'll be frustrated. They'll say, "Wow, this doesn't work. It's not loading." But it'll be a good idea to be able to set up, to display something on dashboard that says, "Hey, contact us for support," or click here for this knowledge base for the most common issues why your connection string is not working, and so on and so on. Just give them this feedback, because as we all know, software is tricky, and we think everybody knows how to do exactly the right thing, but we often find that it's challenging. People make mistakes, but it's important to give this feedback in front of the users. Track app insights to learn about user behavior and errors. So what does that mean? So basically, if you have a bigger application, for example, let's say now you're building some kind of React application with 2, 3, 4 pages, and you want to be able to see how users behave, how they navigate, what errors do they see. So you can actually wire the application with App Insights, and it's really a service that's going to be sending telemetry to our backends to be able to say, this is the user flow, this is where they are clicking, this is what they are getting stuck, they're not moving beyond this step. This App Insight will actually reveal to you that people are not able to move forward for some reason, that they're having problems. So you can be proactive at solving these issues. You can quickly understand what's happening. And the way you see this, basically this telemetry arrives to you in a database. In this, you can look at all this data, right? This reports, basically, that you will see websites, a web page with this reports, and you can filter on that data. So it's very important to be able to do this. And of course, based on this feedback, whether it's a user feedback or App Insights feedback, telemetry feedback, then you can actually create items or tasks for improving your software, right? Hey, users are getting stuck here because we noticed for some reason this button is not enabling. Oh, okay, so it's a bug. Let's resolve that bug, and let's go ahead and prioritize that and deploy that again, right? So you basically get this feedback, you fix it, you send it in, you update the software right away. Or there is a feature where the community is saying, hey, this is not working because if I do this and that, this doesn't make sense. Then you take that community feedback, you do the fix, you deploy, and you keep iterating, you keep improving, you keep adding new features to your application to build your own solution. So you need to provide excellent customer service through various channels, whether it is email, YouTube videos on how to use your app, and some kind of support desk, right? Create a knowledge base, because you're going to maybe come across all these issues, the same repetitive problem. Users are probably, your app is not intuitive enough, and people are getting stuck. So provide a knowledge, improve the app to solve that issue, but also keep that knowledge base so people can self-service their issues, right? And get some kind of help desk software or an app like Slack that can give you that kind of support channel where users can basically communicate to you. So how do I get started? So it's easy, right? I mean, the idea, the concept is easy. The execution is really what's going to take you a little longer. But if you follow this plan, I think you can do it, right? If you do have a viable use case, right? Identify the problem and see how you can solve it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big React application. Doesn't have to be a huge mobile app, Android app. It could be just a little idea like a dashboard, something simple, but start somewhere, right? Identify that there is a market for it, right? And be able that, yes, I can build this and my investment will be this, and identify the MVP, right? Doesn't have to be everything. We sometimes tend to think about, oh, what if they can do this? What if they can do that? Those things are not core features. When you are saying the user will need to do this so he can do that, those are core features. So you need to think about that MVP, define that MVP, and execute on that, and then worry about the what ifs, and then right later on. So understand your operational foundations. How are they going to log in? What do I do if I need to scale up my application, right? Marketing key. Don't forget that. Doesn't matter how good your idea is, your SaaS execution is. If you don't market, it's not going anywhere. No one's gonna find it. Okay. Think about retention. Support your users. Continue to update the app. Right. Try to reach out for new consumers. So that's very key for you to be able to keep that application going. So embrace continuous growth, right? Getting this feedback, being proactive by getting app insights, user behavior will help you continue to grow this application. And don't just let it stale, right? Just let it continue to cultivate it, adding new features, improving it. So if you follow sort of these concepts, which is easy for me to say in 30 minutes or so, it's harder to execute, but at least have a process to follow this through and understand that this is step by step. If you just start by doing code, you start coding, which is most of the times we do, we just code it. Well, you know what? That's not good enough, because you don't really know if that solution has a market behind it. And if you cannot answer the problem statement of my code is going to solve this, then it appeals to you, but what about the rest of the world? So you have to have a well-defined problem statement and a good answer for it. Understand that there's a market for it, and understand what are you going to deliver. But it's not the big bang. It's not deploying, solving everything. It's about executing the MVP first and then grow with it. So, well, thank you for being here. Any questions? If you have any questions in the chat, you can just go ahead and write it in the chat. But I will be sending in for the meeting notes, the video, so you can actually have access to all of this. If you have any questions, this is the time. We still have a few more minutes. If not, please wait for that email so you get the video. We're recording this on YouTube. I'll send you the slides also. And you can follow me for more. I also do presentations on data engineering, artificial intelligence, and with lots of code. This session was not a code specific, like not anything to show for code, but yeah, definitely there are a lot of GitHub repos that I manage, and that I share with the community when I present on topics like data engineering, AI, and so on. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ramon, Fermin, Igor. Thank you, guys. Have a good afternoon, and thank you for coming. Bye-bye.